Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale Guardians of the Galaxy figure unboxing and review. Today we're taking a look at Mantis, based off her appearance in the Disney Plus Guardians Holiday Special. Now I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. I have popped a link to their site in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down there, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button so you're notified as soon as a brand new Guardians figure review goes live on the channel. As for the box art, I actually really like this. Yes, it's busy, it's hectic, there's so much going on, but I reckon that was all intentional. It reads as though this is some cheap and nasty MCU dollar store wrapping paper in the background behind Mantis, intersplicing the silhouetted images of MCU characters within the mix of the Christmassy stuff, like the gingerbread men and the bows and the Christmas trees. Perfect, and on theme for the holiday special. Up front, we've got a glossy image of Mantis. It too is quite colourful. And down below, her name in this metallic foil but sparkly red font. I made the conscious decision not to point out all of the silhouetted MCU characters within the collage of Christmas icons, just because I thought it would be more fun for you to spot them yourself, either in this video or when you get your own copy of Mantis. Around the back, we've got an image of the actual figure this time. The one on the front was Pom in costume. And straight through the middle, just the usual warnings, legal information, and hot toy store locations. Aha, so it was the intended effect. You can see the wrinkling that they've printed as part of the image on the slipcover. That tells me that they were going for the wrapping paper vibe. As for Mantis herself, I saw the very first Mantis prototype all the way back in 2019. This figure is being released in 2024. Why did it take them so long to finally give us a Mantis, seeing as though she appears in a bunch of MCU movies and Avengers films? I've got no idea, but I am glad she's finally here. First in-hand impressions for her? So far so good. I'm liking the head sculpt and the vibrant metallic green for the outfit. What we're going to do now is get all of her accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything she comes with. Starting off with the display base first. It is done in Hot Toys' usual hexagonal style, so it's low profile and nice and compact. Up on top, we've got the same artwork from the front of the box now printed on the base, and it's in high gloss, so it contrasts against the textured finish for the rest of the artwork. And I love how they've used Yondu's arrow as though it's the string holding the Christmas tree lights together. Around the front, Mantis printed on the nameplate in a different font than usual, and up top, an adjustable waist clamp. I'm not a fan of waist clamps because they do tend to dig into rubbery superhero suits over time and do irreversible damage, so I'm going to switch it out with a regular old crotch grabber. Okay, I get it now. Seeing the accessories laid out in front of me, it makes sense why they went holiday special themed for Mantis. Because if she wasn't, we'd have none of these accessories. She'd only come with some swap out hands. And in terms of value, that's not great. The sweater, you can actually pop on her and it feels like a genuine knitted woolen thing. There's a wire around the front for both of these panels. And the pom-poms are 3D raised separate pieces. The skirt is sculpted plastic. It's slightly rubbery. I think that is going to help it contour around the front of her legs when we pop this on the body. To do that, you'll need to stretch this elastic and slide it on. We'll try out all of this stuff a little bit later. Including all of this stuff. These sunglasses were Kevin Bacon's, right? If I'm remembering correctly. I've only seen the holiday special once, so I may be misremembering. The lenses are translucent plastic, but they're not meant to be worn by Mantis. They're more so just a handheld accessory. I've got a different plan for these. I'll tell you what I mean in the pros and cons segment. The little headband has some foam on the inside to protect the red paint and also Mantis's hair. The springs aren't real, unfortunately. At least the paint on the Christmas trees, for as small as they are, is very good. The same thing can be said for the snowman with his absolutely microscopic painted eyes. The snowman and the Christmas tree are free floating on the string, whereas the other baubles are glued in place, so they won't slide around when you're popping this on Mantis. One of my favourite parts of the special was that Mantis thought this was a dude. In 1/6 scale, it's quite large and chunky. I'm probably going to find a way to have this propped up against the display base in the background, because getting her to hold on to it with the array of hands they've given us isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world to accomplish. She does have some open palm hands that are perhaps meant to be used to signify her activating her powers if she's touching someone's head. There's some definition on the inside of the palms, sculpted in fingernails, skin texture, some rosy shading on the knuckles, and some leather grain on these bits that are meant to look like the end of her sleeves. Next up, we've got the gripping hands, and see what I mean? This is a very tight grip. They're flexible enough that you can bend them. Getting them to sit comfortably around that chonky candy cane? Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. Which is likely why the instructions tell you not to worry about any of that. They say that you should wedge the candy cane behind these hands in between them and the body. Up close, you can quite clearly tell that this is just one single piece of sculpted plastic. There's not enough separation between the fingers and the back of the hands. But from a distance, when the shadows fall where they're supposed to, I start to like the look of these a whole lot more. Then there's 2 open palm hands already installed on her out of the box. What we're going to do now is get Mantis herself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. It's about damn time. 5 years is how long it's taken to get Mantis. From the first time we ever saw her at SDCC and ACGHK in 2019, to 2024, where they finally dropped her. Was she worth the wait? Yeah, I think she was. Her proportions are solid, the outfit looks dope, and the sculpt is a big improvement versus what I saw back in the day. Part of me is glad that they waited. Their 2024 technology and engineering, paint, sculpt, it's all superior compared to what they were doing back then. Maybe that's why they took so long. They were waiting, they wanted to cook and get this just right. I doubt it. Either way, I am glad that we have her now and that she turned out this darn good. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Mantis's head sculpt. Right at the last second before Hot Toys dropped her, they updated the sculpt. And while I was okay with the initial one, this looks so much better. I can see the likeness from every angle. She does have that dead-eyed stare going on that Hot Toys female figures usually have when they don't give them moving eyes. But I'm okay with that for Mantis because she looks like this in the movies most of the time. This expression is spot on for me. And I love that they're transitioning to sculpted and painted skin texture. Back in the day, their head sculpts used to be mostly smooth and they would rely on that speckling of paint to mimic skin texture. Now they're sculpting it in and that just looks way more realistic. The eyes are big and glossy and they've even given her 3D sculpted eyelashes that stick out past the rest of the head sculpt. The only complaint I have is that while these are a softer rubbery plastic with some detail up the top, there is a seam line at the bottom from where they've been plugged into the sculpt. I would have liked if the whole thing was just one piece instead of going with rubbery plastic antennae. Yes, a rooted hair version of Mantis would have been very tempting. But if I've learned one thing when it comes to rooted hair figures, it's that I like rooted hair, but rooted hair doesn't like me very much. I try my best to style it and get it to frame the head sculpt the way I want it to, but I can't quite get there. I struggle with the little mini tools and the tweezers and the spray bottle. It just doesn't do what it's supposed to. You may have better luck than I do with rooted hair, so with this figure having sculpted hair, no complaints from me. One of the biggest things with capturing someone's likeness is getting their hairstyle correct. And if you're relying on me to do that, chances are it's not going to look very good. Whereas with sculpted hair, it's going to be perfect right out of the box. The initial prototype only had this front layer of hair, so they've added this additional piece behind it, and that adds a lot of depth. Then around the back, we've got these little rubbery strands down below, and they've added in some blue strands of hair in amongst the black to break it up a little. They've sculpted the hair on the inside as well, so if you have her in a pose where the inside part is revealed, it's not just going to be a straight, smooth piece of plastic. Like I said, it's fully detailed. I forgot to show you the raised chevron pattern underneath her sculpted hair. That is almost always going to be completely hidden, just a little bit of it pokes out down below. The attention to detail has not gone unnoticed, Hot Toys. I appreciate that that's there, even though most of the time, like I said, you're never going to see it. The shirt is made of this metallic, rubbery style material, and we've got some black panels on the side with some screen printing and that rib detailing. These straps are attached to the shirt rather than the arms, so you can move them freely. They're plugged in separately to the body, just like what we saw with Hela and Wanda from WandaVision. With those figures, the seams were quite ugly. With Mantis, the shirt covers the seams, so she is pretty much seamless from head to toe. Weirdly enough, the torso is made of a squishy material underneath the outfit. I reckon they've gone with medical silicone. Not necessary, unless they were relying on the softness for articulation. There is a skin tone neck underneath the hair and the high collar. That does match the skin tone and skin texture of the head sculpt and the arms. Speaking of the arms, they are made of a solid sculpted plastic, and there's an ugly seam line straight down the top of them. Front on, not visible. From the side, yes, you are going to see it. Do make sure you adjust these sleeve pieces so that you can't see the double bend elbow poking through this detail on the side. They could have added a piece of fabric underneath it in skin tone, and because those holes are as small as they are, I don't think anyone would have noticed. It would have covered up that joint, and it would have made these strands a little bit more durable. You can slide them down. It will take some doing. There's a lot of friction involved, but once they're all the way down, you can use them to hide the wrist pegs. Making the belt out of pleather, never the right call. This someday is going to deteriorate. Maybe treat the belt pieces with something and perhaps they'll last a little bit longer. All of these skirt pieces are wired, and the shirt isn't attached to them, so these are free floating. You can get them billowing off in the wind, and we've got the same almost fishbone-like detail that you can see straight through on those skirt pieces, like we saw for the sleeves on the arms. I could have sworn Mantis wore black pants. These aren't black, they're a very dark green, and they do contrast against the much more metallic green for the accent bits of her outfit and her shirt plus her sleeves. They're this screen-printed rubbery style material. I would be quite careful posing Mantis. This stuff is going to crease and get damaged over time. I can't think of another material they could have used to get the sheen they needed on the surface of the suit. So while it isn't the most durable feeling stuff out there, visually speaking, having seen the screen-used costume in person, the material choice looks about right to me. The boots are a single-piece sculpt, and they're made out of a softer rubbery plastic. But it's not soft enough to help with articulation, unfortunately. We have zippers sculpted on the inside and some wrinkling, plus they've cleverly continued the detail work from her pants in metallic green onto the boots. It's not a perfect match, but From a distance, that does look pretty convincing. There isn't any tread on the underside, there is some texture though. I am curious to find out what she looks like with her Christmas garb on, so let's give that a go. This is brilliant. Every now and then I am going to pop the Christmas stuff on her, probably just at Christmas time, because it's not often that we get holiday-specific accessories like this. The headband is just literally sitting in place with friction. There's a foam pad on the underside, so it's not going to do any damage. The glasses aren't meant to be worn by her, that's why they're up at a weird angle. They're more so meant as handheld accessories. If you want to wedge them under her hair like I did, totally doable. The necklace just sits there with the little cute snowman around the front, and the sweater with the wires at the front means that you can contour this piece over the top of her body and simulate weight, making it look like it is a heavy woolen sweater with some weight to it. Getting the skirt piece on was non-trivial. There's an elastic strap at the back. You have to stretch that out over her legs and her hips and her thighs and the existing skirt pieces. Then you can wedge it underneath her shirt. So everything else, quite straightforward to install. This, not so much. But there's no denying that it's got a lot of depth to it, and it's bright and colourful and fun. These hands, the instructions show specifically paired up with this look. You don't have to do that. If you want to use these with just a normal, regular outfit Mantis, go for it. This is just one single piece of sculpted plastic that you plug the arms into using the wrist pegs. But the gaps are deep enough that, depending on lighting, shadows do fall in the correct spots, so it looks like a convincing effect, as though Mantis is genuinely interlocking her two separate hands, and this isn't just one piece of plastic. As cool as it was to try out all of the Christmas stuff on Mantis, we do have to switch her back to her standard outfit so we can move on with the video. Taking that stuff off was surprisingly more challenging than putting it on for some reason. I thought I'd quickly show you what she looks like in her regular getup with these hands on. This is how I'm going to display Mantis in my collection. For a quick side-by-side comparison, Mantis next to Infinity War Star-Lord. At the time of filming this video, none of the Guardians 3 figures have dropped yet. When they do, we'll revisit this comparison, we'll bring Mantis back out and compare her next to those releases. As you can see, Mantis is shorter than her brother, as it should be. IRL, Chris Pratt is 6'2", whereas Pom is 5'7". Give or take a few millimeters, thanks to their choice of footwear. Mantis has chonky high-heeled boots on. This looks about right to me. Next up, Drax. These two were kind of the focus of the holiday special, so I may have to find a way to have them displayed next to each other on the shelf. Drax is the taller of the two, as to be expected. I hope one day we get a new and improved Drax. I thought for sure that the Guardians 3 line would be the one to do it in. But nope, once again, they're giving us an incomplete team. At least that's what it looks like for now. We'll just have to wait and see. Hot Toys, prove me wrong. And finally, my Guardians fully assembled. We will see the new version soon, I hope. For right now, this is the Guardian shelf. They look sick standing side by side. They're not all from the same movie, I don't think that matters. Their outfits don't really change all that often in the movies. Plus, it fits the whole ragtag nature of the Guardians themselves, mixing and matching figures in the display. Going over articulation, starting off with her head sculpt. This is going to get in the way, that's just the nature of sculpted plastic hair. I am curious to find out how restrictive it actually is though. There is a rubbery neck underneath the outfit and a double ball peg inside. Looking forward to there as the hair flexes quite nicely. Looking up to there, that was further than I expected, swivel and pivot side to side. The arms are plugged in separately at the shoulders and there's a hinge at the top of them. Going up to there, Going forward and back, there's a butterfly joint that hinges up and down. There is a swivel at the bicep, and if you look closely through the holes in this sleeve piece, you can see the double bend for the elbow, and it does go past 90. Then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. The torso is on multiple joints, one at the midsection and another at the waist. Crunching forward to there, it's pretty far. Going back to there, it does get gappy, so you will have to adjust the outfit, swivel, and pivot side to side. Her legs will go forward to there. Just watch out for the hip joint because it's quite cavernous. It does like to eat up the fabric when you move the leg forward. Going out to there, swivel at the upper thigh. Double bend at the knee, going past 90. And lastly, high-topped boots with a double ball peg inside. Good for forward and back rotation, as well as a little bit of ankle tilt. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is that instead of going for a single piece sculpt with the antennae being just part of it, they're separate pieces of rubbery plastic, so we've got these unsightly seams at the bottom of them. This was never going to be perfect using this method of construction. I know why they did it, to help with manufacturing and durability, because these are now softer and more flexible than the sculpt itself. Still, I reckon they could have done better than this. The second annoying thing is they didn't crimp the wires at the top of the skirt piece, so they're literally sliding out, and the wires are very sharp. I'm worried that over time, pressing up against this shirt, they're eventually going to poke their way through. The third annoying thing doesn't bother me at all, but it might bother some of y'all if you're sticklers for having all of your Guardians on matching bases. This topper is quite obviously a holiday special themed piece of artwork. This means that Mantis is going to be the only one on a base like this. And to top it all off, they've used a different font for the nameplate. The first cool thing is the engineering for the outfit. Making the shirt and skirt separate pieces was a genius move because now you can have the upper torso rotate independently from the legs and you're not putting any stress or pressure on these skirt pieces. The second cool thing is all of the Christmas stuff. These accessories are so much fun, and the best part about them is you don't even have to use them with Mantis. If you want to have a Christmas Nebula by popping the sweater on her, or a Christmas Tony Stark holding a candy cane, absolutely go for it. I wouldn't be surprised if, come Christmas time, collectors who have Mantis start to bust out their figures and start to accessorize them with this stuff. The third cool thing is, this isn't perfect, it's a work in progress, I have to heat up the glasses to get them to fit properly, but one of the biggest complaints with the 1973 version of Wolverine was that he didn't come with his glasses. And considering he wore them throughout most of the movie when he was in the 70s, that was a huge oversight in my opinion. These glasses, the ones that come with Mantis, are dead ringers for the ones that Hugh Jackman wore in the movie. Once I do heat them up and stretch them out, this is going to look dope. Wrapping up on Mantis. Thank you, Hot Toys. This is exactly what I was hoping for and more from a figure of her. Solid articulation, I love the outfit, and they tweaked the head sculpt at the very last second to get it to look as good as possible. I'm extremely happy with how she turned out. Making this figure a holiday special release seemed odd when they announced her, but now the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, because if she wasn't based off the special, she'd have practically no accessories. She doesn't use weapons, she doesn't have crazy blast effects, nor does she have many outfit changes. So this was their way of adding more value to a figure that would have otherwise been quite bare bones. Very smart on their part. Will I be using those Christmas bits? 100%. I will find a way. Every Christmas, I'm going to put them on random figures in the collection, just because they're so unique. We don't get Christmas accessories very often in 1/6 scale, especially not from Hot Toys. So at the end of this, dope release. She isn't perfect though. The outfit is made of the same not-so-crease-proof material as usual. That's just par for the course with Hot Toys, nothing new. As long as you're on board with posing her sparingly, and you just want to have a super high-end version of Mantis to place alongside your other Guardians, you're going to be just as happy as I am. In the movies, she's usually just putting people to sleep, and she gets dynamic some of the time. Mostly she's standing straight up and down, and this figure is going to be perfect for that. Now, I got mine at a discount from Pop Collectibles. As always, do your own research, make sure you're comfortable before buying. I have popped a link to their site in the description below, along with the discount code Justin's Collection, for 5% off your order if you do decide to buy from them. While you're down in the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.